Good morning and welcome to the Bluebird Merchant Ventures Limited investor presentation. Throughout this recorded meeting, investors will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged, can be submitted at any time. Just click on the Q&A tab, scroll to the bottom, type your question and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question received during the meeting itself. However, the company can review all questions submitted today and publish responses where it's appropriate to do so. Before we begin, we'd like to submit the following poll. I'd now like to hand you over to Aidan Bishop, Executive Director. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I'm coming to you from the Philippines. I apologize in advance if our internet connection over here is a little bit of a challenge. We've had a major typhoon come through the country over the last few days, and the internet is not always as clear at the best of times. So apologize in advance for any issues there. I'm going to go quickly through the company, and then we're going to go straight to the questions. So BLUEBIRD we're a mining development company, a gold development group with 3 projects, all of which are joint ventured out. We have a project in the Philippines, which is the Batangas Gold Project, which is about 2 hours drive from Manila. Has established JORC resources and JORC reserves. Has been partnered with a local company that is tasked with bringing the project through to 2 key permits, an environmental compliance certificate and a declaration of mining project feasibility, at which point the project moves toward production. And then, of course, in South Korea, we have the Gubong mine and the Kochang mine, 2 historic gold mines, Gubong being the second largest mine in Korea and Kochang being a lot smaller. Both mines closed in 1970 or thereabouts, when the gold price was about $40, $50, $60 an ounce, and we are in the process of bringing the mines back to life. So I'm going to go straight into the questions. If you've got any more questions, please post them here. I'm going to answer every question. I'm going to first answer the questions that were pre-submitted. The first one is, what are the timelines for each resource in relation to production, please, Aidan? Okay, Batangas, let's discuss Batangas first of all. As previously mentioned, the project is going through a feasibility study stage, which is a key permission on the path to production. So we're focused on Lobo Batangas, which is a high-grade resource. The feasibility study there is the result of which is going to update the economics of the project, and that will be able to give a very accurate production plan, the all-in sustaining costs, the economics, the profitability, and it could even result in, as I personally expect it will do, in higher resource numbers. The last feasibility study that was done on this project was in 2014 or 15. So, of course, the gold price has substantially improved. So I think, to answer the question in terms of relation to production and timelines, I think on Batangas, we will be looking to know pretty accurately by the end of the first quarter of next year if we've achieved those permits, which I expect that we will, and then we could be in production on that one within 6 months from that time period. It's quite an easy one to bring into production. It's a small mine, so that's Batangas. In terms of Kochang and Gubong, so I'll discuss more about permitting as I see some other questions about that. So with Kochang, which is a smaller mine, technically much more easy to do, and you literally just walk up from the road to the entrance of the Kochang mine. So the strategy was always to get that one into production first. It's a lot easier, it's a lot smaller, and then progress to Gubong, which is a lot larger and was always considered the company making project. So timelines are really influenced by permits being issued, and we'll get into that one a bit later. But in terms of Kochang, this could be producing gold within 6 months of key permissions. So one of the things we're actually doing is to try to work out what we will be allowed to do even before receiving certain permits. Gubong is a lot larger, and the timeline there from issuance of permits would be a little bit longer. We've been going, myself and Graham Fulton were recently in Korea, and we're going through an updated development plan for Gubong now. So I'll be able to answer that one at some point in due course. The next question: what are the next key milestones for each of the 3 JVs, and what are your anticipated timescales for achieving them, please? That's a good question. So to break it down, the next key milestone in Batangas is geotechnical drilling. In fact, I just came from a meeting with the drilling company today, and we're discussing about when the drill rig can move to site and do geotechnical drilling. Geotechnical drilling is a little bit different from resource drilling. It's really to understand the ground conditions below surface, and that helps in terms of the feasibility study, which we're going through. So I would say the next key milestone at Batangas is that geotechnical drilling, and that we are hoping to be able to get that done next month. That's Batangas. Next key milestone on Kochang. 2 potential milestones there I think we can look forward to, and the timing of that. One is we're looking at some refurbishment work to be done on the adit. We're looking to be able to do that without the permit, without the mountain temporary use permit. So there's active discussion and meetings and planning going on with various different contractors at the moment in Korea. So I'm hoping we'll have more on that in the next 4 to 8 weeks. If we're able to refurbish that adit and slightly extend the entrance to the adit, then we can potentially do work inside the Kochang mine even without the mountain temporary use permit. So the second key milestone, of course, at Kochang is the outcome of the Board of Audit and Inspections process on the issuance of the mountain temporary use permit. The timeline on that one, we don't really know. The government were meant to complete their process within, I think it was 60 days, which is the statutory requirement, although they've ignored that. So we don't really know. We're really beholden to the government there. The next key milestone at Gubong is the updated initial development plan based upon land access areas. I think that's a key milestone. I believe we'll have that next month. And also the following next key milestone will be a land agreement. So we met a landowner, which is the key landowner, on our most recent trip to Korea. And so by negotiating on land access or land purchase, that's a very significant milestone. So I think we can achieve that again, probably within the next 8 weeks. So that's that question. Next question. In a recent tweet, you mentioned simple modular plants and starting with toll treatment. Can you elaborate, please, on both of these aspects for investors who might not be familiar with the concepts? Okay, so in contemplating production, in contemplating production at Kochang, that's probably the best example to use. There's a number of factors to consider. One is the type of processing that we will do, and then the decision has to be made, will we do that processing now or later, or will we just look to bring out ore, crush it, maybe produce a concentrate, and then send that to a gold plant elsewhere for treatment? The advantage of doing that, of course, it allows you to scale up the project without having the capital cost of building a plant. So that's probably the advantage of there, and that's probably the most logical thing to do initially until production has a certain scale. Plants being modular, really, as I said, a modular plant can increase processing capacity. So as it allows you to start small, and as you're processing more tons of rock, you can just scale up the size of the plant. So toll treatment, as said, basically means sending ore or a concentrate to a third-party gold processing plant. The next question: what is the latest position on the permits? We were told in February 2023 that granting of these was imminent, yet here we are, almost 18 months later and still no sign. That's a good question. We were also told in February 2023 by our legal advisors that the granting was imminent. So let's go through permitting. Number one, let's go through them all. Permitting of Batangas. So Batangas has a mineral production sharing agreement. That's a mining permit. Within the context of that permit, there are 2 other permits required. That's the work being done now, which is the feasibility study work and an environmental compliance work. It's worth me adding that getting permits for production is very, very different from exploration. Exploration permits are very easy to get because they make no real environmental impact. There's no visible surface footprint. There's no production. There's no environmental issues. So going through from exploration and getting permits for production is a lot more challenging to go through. I mean, try and get a mining permit in the UK, for example, and that will be quite challenging. So permits in South Korea, what do we have? We have what's called a mining right. The first permit is required is a mining right. You get that for like 20 years, and that can be extended thereafter. Underneath the mining right, we have what's called a permit to develop. So we were granted that in 2019 and 2020. A permit to develop allows you to do certain things inside of the mine. So we can go into the mine at Kochang and we can do surveying, we can do sampling, we could do underground drilling, we could do all of those things without extracting ore from the mine. So the next permit that we need is called the Mountain Temporary Use Permit. So the first 2 permits, the first permit was issued by a national government level. The permit to develop was a provincial government, and the mining temporary use permit is a local government permission. So that's the one that we need to get. We were advised that it would also be imminent over a long time ago, and we're still going through that process. What does that mean? Kochang. So we know we're going through a process with the Board of Audit and Inspection. We remain positive on the outcome of that process. Somebody asked a question last time, what happens if it's not granted? Well, you just apply again, right? It's not the end of the world. We still have a mining right. We still have permits to develop. A mountain temporary use permit is linked to a specific area of ground. So that's Kochang. Gubong. So at Gubong, one of the things we did last time was meet with the local landowner, look at his land, and he's got about 5 hectares of land. We understand exactly what he really wants, sort of leasing versus buying, what the price is likely to be, and so forth, still subject to negotiation. So once that agreement is finalized, there'll be a fresh mountain temporary use application made at Gubong. However, the difference being is learning from the Kochang experience, we will probably ensure, or the local partner will, I should say, and this is what they do, that they will ensure that the local government's going to say yes, prior to making the application, so the road is smooth. And again, that's why we determined we needed to get a local partner. So that's that question answered. The next one, how long before permits granted? I think I've answered that question already. The next one, you have done a brilliant job sorting a free carry. Which mine would you expect to come on stream first? Well, that's a good question. My thinking is this. At Korea, Kochang will come on stream first. And what I mean by that is I believe that possibly even without a mountain temporary use permit, we will be able to refurbish the attic, probably get some rock inside under the guise of sort of testing and so forth, and get some gold. And then, post mountain temporary use permit, Kochang is, production is pretty straightforward there. Gubong is a much larger proposition, much larger resource, a much significantly larger mine. So that would take longer to do. Batangas, I believe that will be coming next year. That will come online next year. Next question. Why is it taking so long to obtain the MTUP? And what progress has been made towards this? It's been years! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. So the MTUP, Mountain Temporary Use Permit, we have discussed this. Again, I cannot emphasize enough. Getting a mining permit is not like applying for a bus pass or a fishing license. It is effectively an industrial permit that allows a company to extract ore from the ground and mine. So as such, there's environmental considerations, there's community considerations. A mining project has a significant impact. So it should not be underestimated, the challenge ahead. But, however, it should also be recognized that we do have a mining right. We do have a permit to develop. Those were much, much harder to get than a mountain temporary use permit. We were the first foreign mining company to be granted that since Ivanhoe in the 1990s. So I don't think we should underestimate what we have, but of course we do need that mountain temporary use permit. So it's taking long because it is a permit that unlocks the value of this mine. And for the community and for the local government, they also have to consider, the environmental implications. Those are well managed. The community wants to understand, is the mine going to be noisy? Is there going to be dust? What's going to happen to the water? So there's a lot of things that, in any mining project around the world that goes into production that you have to satisfy, the questions. And that's basically where that permit process is at. Next question. Why is Aidan Bishop only an interim director, considering the momentum BMV have after many years? Surely you'd want to see the outcome. So I'm not an interim director. I am a permanent director of the company. It was announced that I would be an interim CEO. So recently, of course, we trimmed down the board. So Colin Patterson is moved to become a non-executive director. Clive Sinclair Porton and Charles Barkley stepped down, and I stepped into the role of interim CEO. So why interim? Well, my goal as the interim CEO is to progress the projects with our local partners in the Philippines and also in Korea. And, once we've done that, who knows what's next? Does it become permanent? Does it not? Does the company need a more experienced mining professional? My sort of gut instinct tells me that the more traction we get on this project, we're going to need a CEO who has substantial experience in operating or managing a producing mine. So obviously that's not me. But we're not at that point yet. So that's why there. Next question. Excuse me. Why was a better deal not reached for Kochang? I would have thought, considering this is where BMV's focus has been, a better margin would have been agreed at either an increased investment or lower percentage share. I think it's a great deal, and I'll tell you why. So Gubong, as you know, is a $5 million farm out for 60%. It's a larger project. What will that $5 million do? It will get us into production. Kochang is a much, much smaller project. It doesn't need $5 million to get into production. It didn't actually really need $2 million. Actually, if you looked, a couple of years ago at some of the feasibility work or the scoping study work that BLUEBIRD had done, it was only looking for like about $1 million and 1.5 or so forth. So we wanted to negotiate to the point of production comfortably so. So we believe we've achieved that. So we're happy with the investment. We're happy with the percentage. The important thing is, of course, that it gets into production. And this is why you need to have a local Korean partner who understands the Korean language, the Korean culture, the geopolitical situation. These are things a foreign mining company or foreign individuals in a mining company are never, ever going to understand in quite the same way. So I would not look at this, oh, that's a bad deal. I mean, we have one share, well, I don't know if it's a shareholder, I think some simpleton called up the chairman, ranting and raving and all kinds of expletives about it. But I actually think it's a great deal. And the important thing, it gets us into production, and then we can look how does the project develop further from cash flow or however. Next question. Some years ago in presentations, BMV mentioned the availability of loans or subsidies from government in South Korea for mining projects. If these are still possible, what is the prospect of getting them and how much might they be? That's a great question. So that's a very good question. Where is it? Here it is. Yes. So in fact, I had a discussion with our Korean partners yesterday on that, and I was also in discussion last time I was in Korea. So yes, the government do provide subsidies, or it's more like they actually do things in the project, right? So there's a Korean government department that will do certain drilling for you. I think it was 80% of the cost of drilling. The Korean government will also do much of the work of mine rehabilitation. There's some geophysics work that one of the government departments will do. So one of the things that we're going to do, or the local partner is going to do, is discuss with the highest levels with these various government departments as to what they can do for us now in terms of the project. I mean, we don't need a mountain temporary use permit, for example, to do more exploration drilling at Kochang. We don't need a mountain temporary use permit to do more geophysics at Kochang or in Gubong. These would add value to the project. So we are going to be looking to see if we can get the government to do this initiative. So it's not so much how much, it's about the activity. Excuse me. Next question. How much cash does BMV have, and when will the next fundraise be? Well, obviously, I can't just, that's like somebody saying, oh, put your ATM card in the machine and tell me how much you got. Obviously, we can't answer that question. We're not allowed to do so. But what I would say is that, of course, the company, we don't have development costs. This was the other reason why we did these joint ventures, because if you think about 2 months ago, we were trading at half a penny. We were like a £4 million company. How does a £4 million company raise $9 million? Well, it doesn't, right? So it can only do it via joint ventures. So now we've slimmed down the board. There's very, very minimal costs. So what does that mean? That means BLUEBIRD is never going to be one of these companies that's coming to market to raise $2, $3, $4 million or pounds or whatever it is every year. So there we go. That should answer that one. Next. As you have known about MTUPs in South Korea, presumably these will be well underway. Well, I think we've already addressed the mountain temporary use permit. To do so again, at Kochang, we know we're waiting for an outcome of a government process. And of course, we know at Gubong, linked to a land use or land purchase or land lease agreement that the local partner will be undertaking very, very shortly. Next question. How do you manage local and government risks and timelines? How much time do you spend managing this? Well, that's why we chose a local partner. So interestingly, the culture in Gubong is very different than the culture in Kochang, and which is also very different than the culture in the capital city of Seoul. So you really need a local partner to be able to manage local government risks, or maybe that's not really the right word to say. It's really knowing how to navigate the politics, the local community, all of those things. The way in Korea it works is in Kochang and in Gubong, these are small towns that are comprised of different villages that have different village leaders. And so there's all kinds of different personalities. Many of these don't speak any English whatsoever. So it really requires a local partner. So the answer is that I am not the one, or BLUEBIRD is not the one. There's no foreign expats that are trying to, have chats with village leaders who speak no English. So that's really a local partner activity. What I do is in my engagement with the local partner is really try to understand what issues they could arise, what issues may arise in the future. So, for example, at Gubong in, I think it was 1967, there was a mine shaft that collapsed and somebody was trapped in the mine. They didn't die, like 21 days, but it became like a national incident. So of course, there's sort of some memories of that. So again, you have to have that knowledge and be able to communicate about the project to the local community, the local government, of how you mitigate against those types of risk. Yeah, so I mean, how do you manage local government risk and timelines? Well, timelines are always challenging to really understand as to their accuracy or not, as we've proven. It really just takes trying to understand the local situation, where we are in the process, who are the personalities involved. And so again, that's why we brought in a local partner. Okay, next question. This presentation is a great initiative to raise awareness of BMV and the potential. What other plans do you have to highlight the potential to potential investors, and particularly to institutional investors? Well, this is why we're doing what we're doing today, right? We're talking about the project, and I try to talk about the project to anybody who wants to hear. So I'll be coming to London next month, towards the end of next month. We're going to be talking to investors. I'm also going to go and do an investor show somewhere in early September. So we're really, getting the word out there. Institutional investors is a good question. Our market cap is rather small right now, so getting institutional investors is a bit challenging. I suspect the institutional investors are really going to take note of the company once we start giving concrete times, permits are issued, here's the updated numbers, here's when we're going to be starting production. I think that's probably the time that institutional investors are going to start taking note. And of course, by that time, the market cap is going to be a lot higher, I would expect. I think we were all surprised at the movement in the share price following the very positive news of the third JV. What are your thoughts as to why this might have happened? So you were surprised. I was surprised as well. It's I guess in hindsight, it could be, we could look at it. Look, the share price went up from 0.5, it went up to about 1.9, and it's very difficult, to get into the mind of shareholders. Some people are going to be saying, "Oh, this is great news. It's going to go to 3." Some people, depending where they bought, some people might have bought at 0.6 and said, "Okay, I'm willing to, get off the bus here, or take a little bit off the table here." So, I guess really, in short, the share price run up from 0.5 to close to 2, was a substantial run up. There's not too many companies. I think every company would be very happy for, a 3 to 4x rise over a period of time. Personally, I wished it had carried on and we had punched through 2p and off we go. But that has not happened yet. But it will happen, I believe. So yeah, it was disappointing, but it is what it is, and we just keep moving forward. You never know why people sell shares, right? Some people say, "Hey, I'm looking to go to Tenerife. I got to sell some shares." You just never know. So I'm hoping that as we go through the summer, we can really get expand our audience, expand the story to new listeners, and hopefully bring some more buyers and people who love and want to support the story. Next question: what key benefits are you seeing from the local JV partners' participation? Well, I think we've discussed a whole bunch of those things. I'll give you an example. Right. So I'll give you an example in the Philippines. Right. So in the project, Batangas project, the way the local government works is there's a governor of a province, there's a mayor of a town, and of course at the mining department there's a secretary of the mining department. So the local partner is related to the secretary of the department of the environment and natural resources. I was with them and picked up the phone to the governor of the province. So what is the benefit there? Access, speed of access, easier access, relationships that we don't have, or we're not able to get quite like they can. Similarly, in what's the benefit of in Korea? So I was with one of the Korean partners, and he picked up the phone to the chairman of one of the government departments that could do geophysics, for the project. So again, it's really about access. I think access is very important, number one. Number two is really understanding culture and how we should proceed in the project and what adjustments we might need to make. Next question. Have you considered a listing in Asia, given the retail consumers there appear to be far more gold aware? I have. It's a very good question. Here's my thinking on that. The markets for mining amongst retail shareholders are more active in London, Canada, and Australia. You're right about retail consumers, but that's consumers, people who consume gold, not really retail investors. So different stock exchanges have different rules. For example, in Korea, you couldn't list a pre-production mining company. You just couldn't do it. They just wouldn't be. You just couldn't do it. We explored this before, but we were told, unless you got a $300 million market cap, don't even think about listing in Korea. You could list in the Philippines. Probably once permits are done and you're funded for production, you could list in the Philippines at that point in time and bring awareness. But generally, the market or retail investors understand mining far better in London, in Australia, or in Canada. So we're much better off to consider an Asian listing once we're in production. But definitely we would, that's for sure. Okay, next question. Perhaps an unfair question, okay, but where would you have expected our market capitalization to have been at this time following the great news of the 3 JVs with a free carry? Look, I won't hide. I won't hide the fact I was disappointed. I actually thought when we announced Kochang, we are going to fly, hit 2p and off we go and look forward to the next phase of the company. Obviously, there's been some selling, scrappy selling, not much selling. Probably, maybe it's the time of year, I don't know. So I don't know what our market cap is today, 9 million pounds, 10 million pounds. I don't really think of it like that. What I think about it is this: how much will this company be worth when we can, A, when the permits are issued, and B, when we're producing gold? Clearly, it's a much greater multiple of where we are today. So that's sort of how I look at it. And I look about what do we need to do between now and then to achieve that. So so that's about the best as I can answer that one. Can you expand any more on the experience of our JV partners in gold and silver mining, please? Yes. So in Batangas, our partners there, the family is a very experienced mining company they have a significant experience in the mining industry, decades. So they understand it very, very well. In Korea, the JV partners they don't have gold or silver mining experience, but they're not here to do that. We don't need them to have that. Why we selected them was because of access, being Korean, culture, and finance. Right? We're not looking for them to operate the mine. We're not looking for technical expertise from them. Right? So they have a different purpose. So that's that one. Gary M, not a question, just my feedback. I personally think that the board have struck amazing deals on the 3 JVs. Well done. Well, thank you very much. I do agree with you on that one. Next one, first free cash flow next year. Wouldn't that be amazing? So I believe it's possible. Here's where it's going to come from. If our timing is correct on that, I believe we can see that in Batangas, and I believe we can see that at Kochang. I think Gubong probably would take longer. But certainly Batangas and Kochang is imminently achievable. Eminently achievable. Next question. Are you sure your JV partner will stick to their end of the deal? Are they trustworthy? Have you done enough research about them? Yes. So The JV partner in the Philippines, I've known the family for, I don't know, 15 plus years. I'm familiar with all their different businesses and so forth. The partner in Korea, so I first met them about a year ago. And of course, in Asia, it takes a long time to develop relationships. And I basically went to Korea every single month. And the primary purpose was to build relationships. So I met them, spent a lot of time with them. And they've also come to the Philippines. So they have a business in graphene, one of the most advanced in the world. I know their family's invested over about $100 million in the graphene industry over the last decade or so. They've had substantial business in Korea, as have their other partners as well. So yeah, I know them. Next one. You are engaged in 3 major projects currently. Have you overextended yourself? No, I don't believe we have, because we partnered up. We've got a different partner in Korea. We've got a different partner in the Philippines. We've got no cash responsibility, on the shoulders of BLUEBIRD. So we're in the best position we can possibly be in terms of development-wise, project-wise, and financing-wise. So I don't believe we've overextended ourselves. If we had to do all these projects ourselves, that would be a different matter, but we don't. The next question. What is the purpose of the name change? The purpose of the name change was, look, people have been banging on at us for a while to change the name from BLUEBIRD Merchant Ventures to something else that really resonated with what we do. We thought long and hard about it. We could have changed it to something completely different, but I didn't really want to change the email addresses. I didn't want to change the website address. Didn't want to change the ticker and so forth. So we just slight tweaked BLUEBIRD Merchant to BLUEBIRD Mining. And I think that more accurately resonates with what we are about. We're BLUEBIRD Mining Ventures. We've got 3 mines. We're joint ventured with partners, and our goal is to bring about production. So those are, I believe I've answered every single question.
You've answered every single question indeed from investors, and as I say, thank you very much for that. And any further questions that do come in, you'll be able to review those and be able to publish responses where appropriate to do so. I don't know if there's anything else you want to cover off. If not, I'll just ask you for some closing comments and then redirect the attendees to give you some feedback.
Oh, one quick question that just popped up. Your gold price predictions. That's a good one. $3,000 next year. That's what I think. That would be great. Let's see. But I think the thing to think about is, what is the gold price or our cost per ounce? And each of our projects is extremely low. So we're $2,000 and above. We are in a dream situation. So closing comments. Look, we've got 3 joint ventures. We've got we don't have project financing risk on our shoulders. We've got joint venture partners who are local, who understand the situation. I think we're in the strongest position we've ever been in our entire journey. So look, don't get too disheartened about the share price coming off. It's going to come back. Buyers are going to come in. In my view, it's undervalued. I mean, of course, I'm going to say that, but I genuinely believe it is. So there we go.
Adam, fantastic. Thank you very much indeed for updating investors today. Could I please ask investors not to close the sessions now, but you automatically redirected to provide your feedback in order Aidan and the team can better understand your views and expectations. This will only take a few moments to complete, and I'm sure it's greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the management team today, we'd like to thank you for attending today's presentation, and good morning to you all.